The new CBS crime drama, Blue Bloods, follows 3 generations of a tight-knit family of New York City law enforcement officers.
Blue Bloods feels like a window into real New York family life, wrapped up in police drama. But behind the scenes, there are some surprising secrets that even the biggest fans might not know. Ooh, juicy.
This cast is still basically intact. That doesn't happen very often. We've all kind of stuck together, and it means so much for the quality of the show.
From emotional cast moments to unexpected filming locations, this show has layers you wouldn't guess. We're diving into 10 behind-the-scenes facts that will totally shock you. Ready to see what really goes down when the cameras stop rolling? Let's jump right out in. Tom Selleck took a pay cut to keep the show alive. In Hollywood, it's no secret that big names usually come with big price tags. So when you hear that Tom Selleck, a bona fide TV legend, thanks to Magnum PI and decades of leading roles, voluntarily took a pay cut to keep Blue Bloods running smoothly, you do a double take. That's not the kind of headline you expect from a star of his caliber, but that's exactly what happened. Selleck, who plays the wise and unwavering Commissioner Frank Reagan, made a personal sacrifice in order to help balance the show's production budget. Why? Because he believes in Blue Bloods. Not just in the story, but in the people. In interviews, Selleck has expressed deep affection for the cast and crew, and his commitment to the show is more than just professional. It's personal. Think about it. Blue Bloods has been on the air since 2010. In a TV landscape where shows get canceled before their pilot episodes even air, hitting over a decade is like finding a unicorn. And keeping that unicorn alive? That takes sacrifice. When budget negotiations got tough, Tom didn't pull rank or threaten to walk. Instead, he took a step back, pay-wise, to keep the family together. In a business known for egos and excess, that move feels almost heroic. And don't worry, he's not starving. Selleck's still doing just fine. But his decision shows the kind of leadership that mirrors his on-screen character. Frank Reagan wouldn't let the team fall apart over money, and apparently, neither would Tom Selleck. Call it method acting or just being a class act. But either way, it's one of those behind-the-scenes stories that makes you love the show even more. The iconic family dinner scenes are a nightmare to film. When you think of Blue Bloods, there's one scene that sticks out more than the high-stakes arrests or tense interrogations. It's the family dinner. Every episode, like clockwork, the Reagan clan gathers around the same table, passing the mashed potatoes, throwing around opinions, and occasionally tossing a side of sass. It's heartwarming, it's relatable, and honestly, it's one of the best parts of the show. But here's the kicker. Those scenes are brutal to film. What looks like a cozy, 10-minute family bonding moment on screen actually takes 8 hours or more to shoot. Let that sink in. 8 hours. For a single scene. That's a full workday for most people, and they're just sitting at a table pretending to eat. Here's how it breaks down. The scene involves nearly every main cast member: Tom Selleck, Donnie Wahlberg, Bridget Moynihan, Will Estes, Len Cariou, and a rotating cast of younger Reagans. That's a lot of coverage. Every actor needs to be filmed from multiple angles, and since everyone's chiming in with their own lines, facial reactions, or subtle expressions, the cameras have to catch it all. That means they shoot the same lines over and over, but from different perspectives. And let's not forget about continuity. If Donnie Wahlberg spears a green bean halfway through a line, he has to do it the exact same way in every take. If someone lifts a fork too soon, it's a reset. Imagine eating the same bite of food 30 times, cold, by the way, and pretending it's delicious. According to Wahlberg himself, by the end of dinner scene filming days, the cast is stuffed, tired, and usually laughing at how ridiculous things get. Donnie has joked that the real acting challenge isn't crying during emotional scenes or pulling off a chase. It's trying not to make faces after the 40th bite of dry roast beef. Bridget Moynihan has also shared that sometimes the food starts to lose its appeal, especially when you're delivering intense dialogue with a mouthful of lukewarm peas. What's even more interesting is that those dinner scenes have become more than just a recurring gimmick. They're actually the emotional backbone of the show. In a world full of crime dramas, Blue Bloods stands out for putting family at the center of it all. The Reagans don't just fight crime. They fight about parenting, politics, and whether or not Jamie's tie is too skinny. It's messy, it's human, and it's real. That authenticity is no accident. The cast has said that, over time, those scenes started to feel like actual family dinners. Between takes, they catch up on real life, joke around, and sometimes open up emotionally. It's part acting, part therapy. Donnie Wahlberg once said, "Those scenes bonded us in ways the writers could never have scripted." Real NYPD officers are behind the scenes. Literally. Let's be honest, cop shows have a reputation for, well, stretching the truth. Whether it's detectives solving killings in 24 hours with perfectly clean evidence, or officers chasing suspects through 10 blocks of city streets without breaking a sweat, TV police work often lives in its own dramatic bubble. But Blue Bloods? That's where things get a little different. This show puts in serious effort to get it right. Why? Because they've got real NYPD officers helping behind the scenes. That's right, those crisp uniforms, the badge placement, the way officers speak, walk, and even fill out paperwork, yes, even that, are all informed by actual law enforcement professionals. The production team brings in current and former NYPD officers as consultants to make sure the show's version of policing reflects reality as closely as possible, minus the slow parts. Everything from procedural accuracy to the chain of command gets fact-checked by people who've actually lived the job. When Danny Reagan bursts into a scene and takes control like a boss, or when Jamie Reagan calmly diffuses a tense street encounter, there's usually a retired NYPD sergeant off-camera giving the thumbs up or suggesting a tweak. These consultants make sure the language feels real too. That's why you'll hear terms like collar, job, or 1013 used correctly, not just thrown in for fake cop drama flavor. The cast takes it seriously too. Donnie Wahlberg and Will Estes, in particular, have spent time training with NYPD veterans to understand the mindset and physicality of the job. Estes even did a few ride-alongs to better grasp what it's like to patrol a real New York beat. It's that kind of effort that gives the show its grounded vibe, making it feel more like a genuine peek into the life of police officers rather than just another primetime procedural. But here's the best part. This commitment to authenticity doesn't just boost the show's credibility, it earns respect from actual officers. Many members of the NYPD have expressed appreciation for the way Blue Bloods portrays law enforcement with complexity and dignity, especially in an era when public perception of police is constantly evolving. The show doesn't paint officers as flawless heroes, but it does aim to show the tough choices, emotional toll, and human side of the badge. So next time you're watching Frank Reagan navigate department politics, or Danny interrogate a suspect with a mix of grit and heart, know that there's a retired cop somewhere behind the camera, quietly nodding in approval. That realism? It's no accident. And speaking of emotional tolls, what happens when those dinner scenes get too real, like tissues required real? The cast often gets emotional filming family dinners. For a show that revolves around crime, justice, and tough decisions, it's a little surprising that some of the most emotional moments on Blue Bloods don't happen in the precinct or on the streets, but right at the Reagan family dinner table. While viewers feel that warmth and occasional tension through the screen, the truth is, those scenes sometimes hit so close to home that the cast ends up tearing up off camera. Yep, those long, exhausting dinner shoots we talked about, they're not just grueling, they can also be unexpectedly emotional. After sitting shoulder to shoulder for hours, sharing dialogue about family, loss, duty, and love, it's no wonder the cast occasionally feels a little choked up. According to Donnie Wahlberg, some of the most heartfelt conversations at the table blur the line between fiction and real life. "We've had moments," he said in an interview, "where it doesn't feel like acting anymore. It feels like a real family talking through real things." There's something kind of beautiful about that, isn't there? Because while the Reagan clan is scripted, the chemistry among the cast is 100% real. Over 10+ seasons, they've become a family in their own right. They know each other's rhythms, they joke like siblings, and yes, they support each other when things get heavy, on screen and off. Bridget Moynihan, who plays Erin Reagan, once admitted that there are times during those scenes when emotions just hit differently. It's the kind of moment where the words are written, but what we bring to them makes it personal, she said. For example, a storyline about missing a loved one or grappling with moral gray areas doesn't just resonate with the character. It hits the actor, too. That kind of authenticity can't be faked. And let's not forget that the family dinner isn't just a symbol, it's a ritual. It grounds the show. No matter what chaos unfolds during the week, killings, investigations, courtroom drama, you always know the Reagans will come together at that table. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they fight, but they always show up. That consistency, over the course of a decade, has created a deep emotional tether for the cast and the audience alike. Even guest stars have commented on the unique vibe during these scenes. They walk in expecting a standard day on set and leave feeling like they've just attended Thanksgiving dinner with a second family. It's that energy, raw, vulnerable, and surprisingly intimate, that makes the show stand out. So yes, while the cameras roll and the scripts guide the dialogue, there's something real going on in that room. Sometimes it's just laughter over too much stuffing. Other times, it's tears brought on by a line that hits a little too close to home. Which brings up a question. Just how New York is the New York we see on screen? Is it all filmed in the city that never sleeps? Or is Hollywood playing dress-up again? New York City isn't always NYC. Wait, that's not Manhattan? When you think of Blue Bloods, you picture New York. The bustling streets, brownstone stoops, yellow cabs honking like they've got somewhere to be, even when they don't, and the towering skyline casting long shadows over the city's gritty underbelly. It all feels so authentic, as if the show is practically breathing the same air as the Big Apple itself. But here's a juicy little secret. Not every scene you see was actually filmed in NYC. Shocking? Maybe. But understandable? Absolutely. While Blue Bloods does a solid job capturing the essence of New York, a fair chunk of it is shot outside Manhattan, and sometimes even outside New York City altogether. Production costs, traffic permits, noise pollution, and just plain logistics make filming in the heart of the city a bit like trying to choreograph a ballet during a subway rush hour. So where does the magic actually happen? A good portion of the show is filmed in Brooklyn, especially in neighborhoods like Bay Ridge, which we'll get to in the next section. And when Manhattan becomes a headache to shoot in, the production team gets crafty. Some scenes are filmed in Queens, and some, brace yourself, even in New Jersey. Yes, Blue Bloods has crossed the Hudson. It's basically a crime drama with a passport. Interior scenes, like those in precincts or courtroom offices, are often shot on carefully constructed sets or in actual locations around NYC's outer boroughs. That includes abandoned buildings, rented-out courtrooms, and even former schools that have been turned into makeshift police stations for the day. These settings are dressed to the nines with NYPD props, vintage filing cabinets, and well-worn desks to keep everything looking as authentic as possible. But let's give credit where it's due. The production crew is a well-oiled machine when it comes to making you believe you're in Midtown or the Bronx when you're actually in Jersey City or Staten Island. The lighting, the angles, even the background extras, they all play a part in keeping the illusion going. Still, there's something pretty amazing about how committed Blue Bloods is to capturing the soul of the city, even when it isn't technically shot in it. The hustle, the pace, the ever-present tension between tradition and change, that's all very New York, regardless of where the cameras are rolling. And let's be honest, whether they're filming on a real NYPD block or standing in front of a green screen with some well-placed CGI skyline in the background, it all works. The vibe feels real, and that's all that really matters to us as viewers. But here's something that's not staged. That iconic Reagan house we see every episode? Yeah, it's 100% real. And guess who picked it out? Tom Selleck chose the Reagan house himself. There's something deeply comforting about the Reagan family home. You know the one. The two-story brick house with the white trim, front porch, and the unmistakable sense that something important is always happening inside. It's where the famous family dinners take place, where Frank Reagan reflects on life, and where viewers feel grounded no matter how chaotic the world outside might seem. And guess what? That house isn't just a set, and it wasn't picked by some random location scout flipping through a binder. Nope, Tom Selleck himself had a hand in choosing that house, and honestly, would you expect anything less from the man who plays the head of the Reagan dynasty? When Blue Bloods was still in development, the creators knew that the Reagan home needed to be more than just a backdrop. It had to feel lived in, authentic, and rooted in tradition. The house would symbolize the Reagan family values, discipline, loyalty, heritage. It needed to feel warm but solid, a little worn but timeless. Enter Tom Selleck. According to behind-the-scenes accounts, Selleck was involved in the decision-making process early on and made it clear that the home had to feel like something a real NYPD commissioner would live in. Not a flashy Upper East Side penthouse or a luxury brownstone, but a middle-class, working family kind of home. Something humble, grounded, and real. That led the production team to Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, a neighborhood known for its strong sense of community and classic NYC charm. And there it was, a real house on a quiet street that practically whispered, "I've seen a few generations grow up here." It had the right vibe, not too polished, not too run down. It looked like a place where dinner happens at 6 sharp and conversations go long into the night. And here's the cool part. It's still a private residence. Yep, that house is owned by a real family, not a studio. The crew films exterior shots a few times a year, and the interiors, like the dining room and kitchen, are recreated on a soundstage. But that front porch, that driveway, that American flag fluttering in the breeze, all real, all chosen with purpose. It's hard to overstate how important this setting has become. In a show filled with crime scenes, high-stakes investigations, and political wrangling, the Reagan home is the emotional anchor. It's where everyone lets their guard down, even Frank occasionally. It's where the family turns into just that, a family. And that kind of energy doesn't happen in just any location. It had to feel personal. Tom Selleck's instincts were spot on. That house has become as much a character on the show as any of the Reagans themselves. It says something about how seriously he takes his role, not just as Frank Reagan, but as a kind of steward for the show's deeper message, that family, home, and tradition matter. But speaking of surprise exits and tough emotional turns, did you know one of the show's biggest characters was written off? And even the cast didn't know until the last minute? Amy Carlson's exit was kept secret from the cast. If you've been a Blue Bloods fan since the early days, chances are you remember Linda Reagan, Danny's no-nonsense wife, ER nurse, and all-around rock for the Reagan family. She was smart, compassionate, and fiercely loyal. So when Season 8 premiered, and we suddenly learned, off-screen no less, that Linda had died in a helicopter crash, fans weren't just confused, they were shocked. And you know what made it even crazier? Even some of the cast didn't see it coming. Let's back up. Amy Carlson, the actress who played Linda for 7 seasons, had become a core member of the Blue Bloods family. Her chemistry with Donnie Wahlberg, Danny, was natural and easygoing. Their dynamic felt like a real marriage, sometimes tender, sometimes tough, always grounded. So when she quietly decided not to return after Season 7, producers had a decision to make, and they took an unusual route. They didn't announce her departure ahead of time, at all. There was no on-screen goodbye, no final episode centered around Linda's death, not even a dramatic hospital scene. Instead, her absence was explained in past tense dialogue, just a few lines mentioning a tragic medevac helicopter crash. Boom. Gone. The reaction from fans? Let's just say Twitter had opinions. Viewers felt blindsided and, in many ways, robbed of closure. Linda wasn't just another side character. She was deeply embedded in the emotional core of the show. People wanted to mourn her properly, not just hear about her passing after the fact. But here's where it gets even more surprising. The cast was reportedly just as stunned as the audience. In interviews, Donnie Wahlberg has shared that he didn't know how Linda's departure would be handled until he read the script. Imagine showing up to film a new season and learning your on-screen wife has been killed off, and you won't even be acting out that loss, just referring to it after the fact. That's a tough adjustment, even for a seasoned pro. As for Amy Carlson, she's spoken candidly in interviews since her departure. While she loved her time on Blue Bloods, she said she would have appreciated the chance to give Linda a proper send-off, something dramatic, emotional, or even heroic. And honestly, most fans agree. Linda deserved more. Still, her sudden exit did have one major effect. It gave Donnie Wahlberg's character, Danny, a powerful emotional arc. Watching him navigate grief, single fatherhood, and the job all at once brought new depth to a character who had previously leaned heavily on Linda's support. The emotional weight of her loss lingers in the show even now, seasons later. In a way, it's a testament to Carlson's performance. Linda's presence still hovers in the Reagan home, and her absence is felt in subtle ways. An empty chair at dinner, a quiet moment with the boys, a reference to something she would have said. It's not the farewell fans or the cast we're expecting, but it's still meaningful. Now, speaking of Donnie Wahlberg, did you know he brings a little boy band flavor to the Blue Bloods set when the cameras stop rolling? And no, we're not kidding. Donnie Wahlberg brings his boy band energy to set. If you picture Detective Danny Reagan as all gruff stares, steely determination, and serious police work, think again. Off camera, Donnie Wahlberg is a whole different vibe, one that might just surprise you. Because yes, this Blue Blood star is also a former boy band member and he doesn't shy away from bringing some of that energy and fun to the set. Before he was a detective, Donnie was part of the iconic 90s group New Kids on the Block, NKOTB, one of the biggest boy bands to ever hit the charts. From sold-out stadiums to teen heartthrob status, Donnie's got a musical history that not many cop show stars can claim. So how does that pop star past mix with a gritty New York detective drama? Well, according to cast and crew, the set is often filled with laughs, impromptu singing, and an upbeat vibe thanks to Donnie's energy. He's known to break out into NKOTB hits during downtime, lightening the mood and reminding everyone that even a tough guy can have a softer, groovier side. Will Estes, who plays Jamie Reagan, once joked in an interview that Donnie's concert-ready dance moves occasionally make their way into rehearsals, much to everyone's surprise and amusement. Bridget Moynihan has said that Donnie's ability to switch from serious crime scenes to playful banter keeps the cast grounded and close-knit. It's a great reminder that behind the badge and the script, these actors are people who love what they do and bring a lot of personality to the table. Donnie's dual life as a singer and actor also adds an interesting layer to his portrayal of Danny, a man who balances a tough exterior with deep family loyalty and occasional flashes of humor. And yes, every now and then, there's even talk of a Blue Bloods cast karaoke night. If you ever get invited to one of those, consider yourself lucky and maybe bring earplugs, because Donnie can hit those high notes. But all that energy wouldn't be possible without the support of an incredible crew behind the scenes, especially when it comes to stunts and action scenes. Ever wonder who makes Danny Reagan look like a total badass? The stunt team makes the action look effortless. When you watch Blue Bloods, you might be focused on the dialogue, the drama, or the complex family dynamics, but don't overlook the jaw-dropping action scenes. Whether it's a chase through Manhattan traffic, a tense rooftop showdown, or a nail-biting foot pursuit down crowded city streets, those moments pack a punch. And behind every punch, jump, and daring move is a team of incredibly skilled and incredibly brave stunt performers. You probably already guessed that Tom Selleck or Donnie Wahlberg aren't diving off rooftops or flipping over cars themselves, though they definitely do some of their own lighter stunt work. The heavy lifting, the dangerous falls, and the high-octane sequences are the handiwork of a dedicated stunt crew who bring Hollywood-caliber action to the gritty streets of New York, or their stand-ins. What's crazy is just how meticulous and careful the stunt team has to be. New York is a bustling, chaotic city, and filming realistic, safe stunts there means juggling tons of moving parts. Streets have to be closed, safety equipment rigged, and every jump or fall choreographed down to the millisecond. One wrong move, and things could get seriously messy. Veteran stunt coordinator Gary Wilkes, who's worked on dozens of shows and films, has talked about the challenge of keeping the action thrilling but safe. The stunt team spends weeks planning even the smallest chase scenes, rehearsing moves over and over until they're flawless. They train with the actors too, so everyone knows how to react and look natural without risking injury. And here's a fun fact. A lot of the stunt performers double as background officers and extras. So when you see a dozen uniformed cops sprinting down a street, some of those are the same folks who pull off the high-flying stunts moments later. One particularly intense stunt involved a rooftop fight, where Danny Reagan and a suspect teetered dangerously close to the edge. To the audience, it looks real, like the tension could snap at any second. But behind the scenes, there's a full safety net rigged out of sight and a team of stunt coordinators guiding every move to keep the actors and the stunt doubles safe. It's easy to forget how much invisible work goes into making those few seconds of heart-pounding action look so effortless. The stunt team deserves major props for making Blue Bloods feel real without ever letting the danger become real. So what about those writers? Ever wonder if they base any of the storylines on real police cases? The answer might surprise you. The writers pull from real NYPD cases for inspiration. One of the things that keeps Blue Bloods fresh and gripping, even after more than a decade on air, is the show's commitment to storytelling rooted in reality. Sure, there are plenty of dramatic twists and cliffhangers, but a lot of the stories actually come from the real-life files of the NYPD. Behind every case Danny or Jamie investigates, or every moral dilemma Frank faces, there's usually a nugget of truth. The show's writers work closely with NYPD officers, detectives, and legal experts who sometimes share anonymized real cases to spark ideas or add details that make the episodes feel authentic. This isn't just a storytelling shortcut. It's a way to explore real social issues, ethical questions, and the everyday challenges police officers face, from community relations and corruption to family struggles and the psychological toll of the job. The writers often take a kernel of a real event and spin it into a compelling narrative that fits the characters and tone of the show. Sometimes, the inspiration comes from recent headline-making cases. Other times, it's from old stories that reveal something timeless about justice, duty, and family. The show doesn't shy away from gray areas either. Many episodes delve into thorny issues, racial tensions, political pressure, or the fine line between right and wrong, because those reflect real conversations happening in police departments across the country. For the actors, knowing that the scripts are grounded in real experiences adds a layer of responsibility and respect for the material. Donnie Wahlberg has said in interviews that the show's authenticity helps him connect to Danny's character on a deeper level. It's not just acting, it's telling stories that matter. Writers also incorporate feedback from consultants and even law enforcement audiences to refine the scripts. This ongoing collaboration helps the show avoid cliches and keeps the drama honest. Of course, some creative license is necessary to keep viewers hooked, but the fact that so much of the drama is based on actual police work and family struggles makes Blue Bloods stand out in the crowded field of crime dramas. And there you have it. 10 behind-the-scenes facts about Blue Bloods that will definitely surprise and maybe deepen your appreciation for this iconic show. We have more contents like this. Feel free to subscribe.